Imagine a river that flows through this very room, right now. You cannot see it. You cannot hear its water lapping against the shore. You cannot dip your hand into it to feel the cool temperature. Yet, you know it is here. It surrounds you completely, carrying you gently from one moment to the next. This invisible current is what we call time, and tonight, as you lie in the safety of the dark, we are going to float upon its surface. We will not fight the current. We will not try to swim upstream. We will simply observe the mystery of this force that shapes our entire existence. Welcome to Study and Sleep. Let your body sink into the mattress. Let the tension in your shoulders dissolve like salt in warm water. There is no rush here. The clock on the wall may continue its steady ticking, but in this space, we step outside of schedules and deadlines. We step into the pure, flowing nature of time itself. Consider for a moment how strange it is that we can sense time at all. It has no scent, no color, no physical weight. You cannot trap it in a jar to study later. If you close your eyes, you cannot touch it like you touch the blanket covering you. Yet, it feels as real as gravity. You feel it passing. You feel the distance between who you were this morning and who you are tonight. It is the fundamental background of our lives, the canvas upon which every memory is painted. For thousands of years, humans have looked up at the sky and felt this same mystery. Imagine the ancient observers in Babylon, in Egypt, in the quiet valleys of the Indus. They stood under the same stars that are above your roof tonight. They watched the moon wax and wane, growing from a silver sliver to a luminous orb, and then fading back into darkness. They watched the sun trace its golden arc across the sky. They realized that time was not just a feeling. It was a cycle. It was a rhythm. They built great stone circles and tall obelisks to track these shadows. They invented water clocks, letting droplets fall one by one into a basin, trying to measure the unmeasurable. Every drop was a second vanishing. Every shadow moving across the sand was a minute slipping away. They were trying to give structure to the invisible river. But even with their tools, the mystery remained. What exactly is flowing? Is time something that exists out there in the universe, independent of us? Or is it something created entirely within our own minds? This question has puzzled the greatest thinkers in history. The philosopher Heraclitus once said that you cannot step into the same river twice. He believed that everything is in constant motion. The water flows on, and the river you step into a moment later is entirely new. To him, time was the essence of change. Nothing stands still. Everything flows. But others disagreed. Some argued that change is just an illusion, and that reality is a single, frozen block where past, present, and future exist forever. It is a heavy concept. But tonight, we don't need to solve it. We just need to let it drift through our minds like a slow-moving cloud. Let's move from the stars and the philosophers to something closer to home. Let's look at how you feel time inside your own mind. Have you noticed how time seems to be made of rubber? It stretches and it shrinks. It is rarely steady. Think back to a moment when you were truly afraid. Perhaps a near miss in traffic or a sudden fall. In those split seconds, time seemed to slow down to a crawl. You remember the details with incredible sharpness. The color of the car, the sound of the brakes, the dust floating in the air. Scientists tell us that the brain does not actually slow down physics in those moments. Instead, It goes into hyperdrive. It records memories at a frantic pace. It takes hundreds of snapshots per second instead of the usual amount. When you play that memory back later, it feels long because there is so much data. It is like watching a slow-motion movie. Your mind stretches the moment to help you survive. On the other hand, think about the days when time seems to vanish. You sit down to read a good book or work on a hobby you love. You look up, expecting only an hour to have passed. But the afternoon is gone. The sun is setting. The shadows are long. This is what psychologists call the flow state. When you are deeply engaged, the part of your brain that monitors the clock simply shuts down. You become one with the action. You exist in a pure present. In these moments, you are free from the tyranny of ticking clocks. There is another curiosity of our internal timekeeper. Have you ever wondered why summers felt eternal when you were a child? A single school holiday seemed to stretch out for a lifetime. But now, as an adult, the years seem to flip by like pages in a breeze. One moment it is New Year's, and the next, the leaves are turning brown again. There is a fascinating mathematical reason for this. When you are 5 years old, 1 year represents 20% of your entire life. It is a massive chunk of your existence. Every day is filled with new experiences. The first time you swim in the ocean, the first time you ride a bike, the first taste of a lemon. Your brain is writing new code constantly. But when you are 50, a year is only 2% of your life. Your days are often filled with routines. The commute, the coffee, the meetings. The brain stops recording the repetitive details to save energy. It compresses the memories. And so, the timeline shrinks. The river flows faster as it widens toward the sea. This tells us something profound. The time we live in is personal. It is a private universe constructed by our memories and our attention. My hour is not exactly the same as your hour. We may agree on the clock, but we do not agree on the feeling. We are each drifting on our own raft, carried by currents that move at different speeds depending on our joy, our boredom, or our wonder. But is there a real time beneath all this? Is there a master clock ticking somewhere in the universe, keeping perfect beat for everyone? For centuries, scientists thought the answer was yes. Sir Isaac Newton, the man who explained why apples fall from trees, pictured time as a container. He believed the universe was like a giant stage. Space was the floor, and time was the steady lighting that never changed. In Newton's world, a second on Earth was exactly equal to a second on Jupiter, or a second at the edge of the galaxy. It was absolute. It was reliable. It was comforting. It turns out, Newton was wrong. The universe is far stranger and more beautiful than a rigid clockwork mechanism. The discovery that shattered this old idea did not come from a giant laboratory. It came from the imagination of a young clerk working in a patent office in Switzerland. His name was Albert Einstein, and his daydream changed everything. Einstein asked a simple question that children might ask. What would happen if I could run as fast as a beam of light? If I could ride alongside a light wave, would it freeze? This thought experiment led him down a rabbit hole that dissolved the solid ground of Newtonian physics. He realized that time is not a fixed stage. It is not a rigid container. Time is more like a river that can bend, twist, and swirl. It can slow down near heavy rocks. It can speed up in the emptiness of space. He called this space-time. He wove the 3 dimensions of space and the one dimension of time into a single fabric. Imagine a trampoline. If you place a heavy bowling ball in the center, the fabric curves downward. That curve is gravity, but it doesn't just curve space. It curves time too. This means that time actually flows at different speeds depending on where you are. Think about this as you lie in your bed. Your head is slightly farther from the center of the earth than your feet are, because gravity is just a tiny bit stronger at your feet. Time is moving just a tiny bit slower there. Your feet are aging slightly slower than your head. The difference is infinitesimally small, measurable only by the most precise atomic clocks. But it is real. You are not existing in a single block of time. You are stretched across a gradient of flowing moments. This is not just theory. We use it every day. The GPS system on your phone relies on satellites orbiting high above the Earth, because those satellites are far away from the Earth's heavy mass, and because they are moving at high speeds. Their internal clocks tick at a different rate than the clocks down here on the ground. If engineers didn't adjust for Einstein's flexible time, your map would be off by kilometers within a single day. The technology that guides you to the grocery store is proof that time is relative. Let's go deeper into this mystery. If time can slow down, can it stop? Imagine traveling out into the deep cosmos, far beyond our solar system. We approach a ghost of a star, a black hole. Here, gravity is so intense that it has punched a hole in the fabric of reality. If you were to fly a spaceship near the edge of this abyss, something magical would happen. To you, looking out the window, everything might seem normal, but to a friend watching you from a telescope back on Earth, you would appear to move in slow motion. As you get closer to the event horizon, you would slow down more and more, until you seemed frozen in eternity, a faint image hovering forever on the brink of darkness. For you, only a few hours might pass. You could eat lunch, read a book, and take a nap. But if you then turned your ship around and returned to Earth, you might find that thousands of years had passed. Civilizations would have risen and fallen. Forests would have grown into deserts. Your friends would be long gone. You would have traveled into the future, not by magic, but by simply sliding down the curve of time. This is the twin paradox. One twin stays on Earth. The other travels at high speed through the stars. They meet again, and they are no longer the same age. The traveler is young, the earthbound brother is old. It reminds us that time is not a universal rule. It is a personal journey. We each carry our own clock, and it ticks to the rhythm of our own motion through the universe. So, as you rest here tonight, know that you are a traveler too. You are moving through space-time right now. The Earth is spinning. The solar system is orbiting the galaxy. The galaxy is rushing through the cosmos. We are all astronauts on a great vessel, sailing the currents of this invisible river, and perhaps, in sleep, we step out of the current for just a little while. In dreams, the past and the future often blend together. The linear road disappears, and we float in a sea of pure experience. But there is another question that haunts us. If time is flexible, why does it only flow one way? Why can we remember the past but not the future? Why can we turn an egg into an omelette, but never turn an omelette back into an egg? This is called the arrow of time. And to understand it, we have to look at something called entropy. Imagine a magnificent sandcastle built on the edge of the tide. It has tall towers, intricate moats, and smooth walls. It represents perfect order. Every grain of sand is exactly where it needs to be to hold the shape. Now, imagine you leave it there and walk away. When you return the next day, what do you see? The wind and the waves have smoothed it down. The towers have collapsed. The sharp edges have become soft mounds. The sand has scattered. This is the law of the universe. Things naturally move from order to disorder, from structure to randomness. This tendency is what physicists call entropy, and it is the reason time has a direction. It is the reason we can distinguish yesterday from tomorrow. Yesterday is the sandcastle standing tall. Tomorrow is the sand scattered across the beach. Think of a cup of hot coffee with a swirl of cold milk. At first, the milk is a distinct white spiral against the dark liquid. There is a clear separation, order, but as you watch, the milk spreads. It mixes. The heat disperses. Soon, the cup is a uniform shade of brown. You can never unmix the coffee. You can never gather the heat back into a single point. The universe loves to spread out. It loves to shuffle the deck. Now, visualize a film playing backward. Imagine seeing that scattered sand suddenly rising up against gravity to form a tower. Imagine a broken vase on the floor, its shards leaping into the air, fusing seamlessly together, and landing gently on the table. It looks like magic. It looks impossible. And yet, the fundamental laws of physics, the equations that describe how atoms bounce and move, do not actually forbid this. If you look at a single atom, it doesn't care about time. It can move forward or backward just as easily. So why don't we see vases fixing themselves? It is simply a game of odds. There is only one way for the vase to be whole. There are trillions upon trillions of ways for it to be broken. It is overwhelmingly more likely for the universe to choose a broken state than a whole one. This statistical probability is so strong that it creates the flow of time itself. It drags us from the orderly past toward the disordered future. This concept explains a deep mystery of your own mind. Why can you remember the past, but you cannot remember the future? Why is the future a blank fog while the past is a library of images? It connects back to entropy. Creating a memory is like writing in a book. It requires energy. When your brain etches a memory into your neurons, it generates a tiny amount of heat. It creates a little bit of disorder in the universe to build that structured memory in your head. You are paying a tax to the universe to keep a record. Because entropy only increases in one direction, we can only create records of things that have already happened. We are swimming with the current of disorder, leaving a wake behind us. That wake is our memory. But this leads us to the ultimate beginning. If the universe is constantly getting messier, constantly unwinding like a clock spring, then it must have been tightly wound up at the start. If we follow the river of time upstream, past the crumbling mountains, past the dying stars, back billions of years, we arrive at a state of incredible order. The Big Bang. This was the moment of lowest entropy, the moment when the sandcastle was perfect. Everything we see now, the stars burning, the planets spinning, you breathing, is just the long, slow process of that initial order dissolving into chaos. We are riding the shockwave of that first explosion. We are the energy spreading out. Life itself is a kind of miracle in this process. We are temporary islands of order in a universe that wants to be messy. For a brief time, your body holds atoms in a complex, beautiful pattern. You are a rare jewel of structure in the river of entropy. Let's shift our perspective now. Let's look at time not as a river, but as a landscape. There is a theory in physics that challenges our deepest feelings about reality. It is called the block universe. Imagine a DVD of your favorite movie. When you hold the disc in your hand, the beginning, the middle, and the end all exist at the same time. The scene where the hero meets the villain is etched on the plastic just a few millimeters away from the scene where they say goodbye. The movie doesn't happen until you play it, but the information is already there, frozen and complete. Some physicists believe our universe is exactly like that DVD. They suggest that the past, the present, and the future are all equally real. They all exist simultaneously in a massive four-dimensional block. The dinosaurs are still roaming the Earth in the past section of the block. Your great-grandchildren are already building cities in the future section. Nothing is actually moving. Nothing is flowing. The now that you feel, this very moment of lying in bed, is just where your consciousness happens to be focusing right now, like a spotlight shining on one part of a giant stage. If this is true, it means that the passage of time is an illusion, a very convincing trick played by our minds. Einstein himself found comfort in this idea. When his close friend died, Einstein wrote a letter to the family saying, "For us physicists, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." He believed his friend was not gone. He was simply inhabiting a different part of the block, just as New York exists even when you are in London. Think about how peaceful that is. Nothing is ever truly lost. Every laugh, every sunny afternoon, every embrace you have ever experienced is still there, locked safely in the crystal block of space-time. Permanent, indestructible. You just can't see it from where you are standing right now. But there is a debate. Not everyone agrees the future is fixed. Quantum mechanics, the study of the very small, suggests that the universe might be fuzzy. It suggests that the future is not a written book, but a branching tree of possibilities. Perhaps the block is being built brick by brick as we live it. Perhaps you are the architect. Every choice you make to close your eyes, to take a breath, to let go of a worry solidifies the fog of potential into the rock of reality. We don't know which answer is right. Is the future a destination waiting for us? Or is it a void waiting to be filled? The mystery remains unsolved, and maybe that is better. If we knew the answers, the wonder might fade. And tonight is about wonder. It is about resting in the unknown. Let's return to the experience of the now, the only place where life actually touches us. How long is now? If you try to catch it, it slips through your fingers. By the time you think, this is the moment, it has already become the past. Neurologists have tried to measure the width of the present moment. They have found something fascinating. Your now is about 2 to 3 seconds long. This is the window of time your brain can hold together as a single event. It is the length of a rhythmic breath. It is the length of a simple musical phrase. It is the length of a handshake. Your brain takes all the messy signals, the light reaching your eyes, the sound reaching your ears, the touch on your skin, and it stitches them together. It edits the delay. It synchronizes the track. It presents you with a smooth, cohesive reality. You are living in a slightly delayed broadcast. It takes milliseconds for signals to travel from your toes to your brain. It takes time for your visual cortex to process an image. So, technically, you are always living just a tiny fraction of a second in the past. You are always chasing the present, never quite catching it. But in this lag, there is safety. There is a buffer between you and the raw intensity of the world. Imagine two astronauts floating in the deep void, separated by thousands of miles. One is drifting toward you, the other is drifting away. Because of the strange geometry of space-time, their nows are different. What the approaching astronaut considers this moment might include things that haven't happened to you yet. What the retreating astronaut considers this moment might be things you have already forgotten. It is like slicing a loaf of bread at different angles. Depending on how you slice it, you get different ingredients in your slice. We are all slicing the universe from our own unique angle. This solitude of time might sound lonely, but it is also intimate. It means your experience of this night is yours alone. No one else is living this exact timeline. No one else feels the exact texture of these sheets, the exact rhythm of this silence. You are the captain of your own temporal ship. Now, as we drift further toward the shores of sleep, let's consider the beginning of it all. Let's travel back, before the sandcastle crumbled, before the coffee was mixed, before the stars were lit. Let's go back to the first tick of the clock. 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was a single point, a singularity. We often think of the Big Bang as an explosion times in time-space, like a firework going off in a dark room. But that is not quite right. It wasn't an explosion times in time-space. It was an explosion times of time-space. There was no outside for it to expand into. There was no room waiting for it. The Big Bang created the room. It created the distance. And, most importantly, it created time. Before that moment, the word before had no meaning. Asking what came before the Big Bang is like asking what is north of the North Pole. You can walk north as long as you want, but once you reach the pole, there is no more north to go to. The direction simply ends. In the same way, if you travel back in time, you hit the wall of the beginning. Time stands still there. In that first fraction of a second, the universe was pure energy. It was a hot, dense soup of potential. There were no atoms, no stars, no light that could travel. It was a fog. But then, space stretched. It expanded faster than the mind can comprehend. This expansion cooled the soup, and as it cooled, things began to settle. Energy condensed into matter. The chaos began to organize. Think of steam cooling on a window pane to form water droplets. That is what happened to the universe. The fiery energy cooled and formed the first protons, the first neutrons. It took 3 minutes to create the ingredients for all the matter in the cosmos. Just 3 minutes. The same length as a pop song. In that short burst, the universe decided what it would be made of. For hundreds of thousands of years after that, the universe was dark. It was a thick fog of particles. Light was trapped, bouncing around like a pinball, unable to escape. Imagine living in a world of glowing fog, where you cannot see your own hand in front of your face. This was the cosmic dark age. A long, silent winter. But gravity was working in the dark. The architect of the universe. Gently, persistently, gravity pulled tiny clumps of gas together. It whispered to the atoms, "Come closer. Come here." The clumps grew heavier. They pulled more gas in. The pressure built up. The heat rose. And then, suddenly, somewhere in the deep void, a spark ignited. The first star turned on, and then came the dawn. One star became two. Two became a cluster. Clusters swirled into the first galaxies. The universe was waking up from its long slumber. But these early stars were not just lamps lighting up the dark room. They were factories. They were great cosmic forges. Deep inside their cores, the pressure was unimaginable. It was crushing hydrogen atoms together so violently that they fused. They merged to become helium, releasing pulses of pure light. But the process didn't stop there. As the stars aged, they burned hotter. They began to fuse heavier things. Helium became carbon. Carbon became oxygen, nitrogen, neon, silicon. Finally, they forged iron. When the massive stars ran out of fuel, they didn't just fade away. They collapsed inward and then shattered in spectacular explosions called supernovae. These blasts were so bright they could outshine an entire galaxy. But more importantly, they were seeds. They scattered those new elements, the carbon, the oxygen, the iron across the emptiness of space. Pause and look at your own hand resting on the bed. Look at the veins under your skin. The iron in your blood that carries oxygen to your brain was not created on Earth. It was not created in the Big Bang. It was forged in the dying heart of a giant star billions of years ago. The calcium in your bones? Made in a star. The carbon in your DNA? Made in a star. You are not just living in the universe. You times are times the universe. You are a collection of stardust that has come together for a brief moment to become conscious. You are the cosmos waking up and looking at itself. This is not poetry. It is physics. It is the literal history of every atom in your body. So when you feel small beneath the night sky, remember your lineage. You are the child of giants. But if the universe began with a Big Bang and evolved into stars and life, a question naturally arises. What was there before? If time started at the Big Bang, is it meaningless to ask what happened the day before? Perhaps. But human curiosity does not like walls. We want to know what is on the other side. Some physicists dream of a cyclic universe. They imagine that our Big Bang was not the first, nor will it be the last. Imagine a lung breathing in and out. The universe expands for billions of years, just as it is doing now. But eventually, it slows down. Gravity takes over. It begins to contract. It shrinks smaller and smaller, hotter and denser, until everything, every galaxy, every star, every memory is crushed back into a single point. A big crunch. And then, maybe it bounces. Maybe it explodes outward again in a new Big Bang. A fresh start. New laws of physics. New stars. Maybe this has happened an infinite number of times. An eternal heartbeat of expansion and contraction. In this view, time doesn't have a beginning. It is a circle, an endless loop without a start or finish. Others dream of a multiverse. Imagine a pot of boiling water. Bubbles form constantly. Some pop immediately. Some grow large. Perhaps our entire universe is just one bubble in a much larger, boiling cosmic soup. While we float in our bubble, drifting through our version of time, other bubbles are forming nearby. Other universes with different rules. Maybe in one bubble, gravity is repulsive, maybe in another. Time runs backward. We will never meet them. The space between the bubbles is expanding too fast. But it is a humbling thought. We might be just one drop in an infinite ocean. These ideas stretch the mind. They make the room feel larger. But let's bring our focus back to something we have all wished for at least once. Time travel. The ultimate escape. We have talked about how moving fast sends you into the future. That is a one-way ticket. But what about going back? What about fixing a mistake? What about seeing the face of a loved one who is gone? The laws of physics are very strict about this. Generally, they say no. The universe protects the past. But there is a loophole, a tiny, theoretical crack in the door. It is called a wormhole. Einstein and his student Nathan Rosen discovered this possibility in the math of relativity. They called it an Einstein-Rosen bridge. Imagine time as a sheet of paper. You are an ant walking from one side to the other. It takes a long time, but if you bend the paper, curving it until the two edges touch, you can step across instantly. That is a wormhole, a tunnel through the fabric of reality. If you could build one, and if you could keep it open, which would require immense, exotic energy, you might be able to create a shortcut. But here is the trick. If you move one end of the wormhole at high speed, or place it near a black hole, you desynchronize the two ends. You create a time machine. Walking into one end would spit you out at the other end, not just in a different place, but in a different time. You could step through in 2025 and emerge in 1925. It sounds perfect. But the universe has a way of fighting back against paradoxes. The most famous one is the grandfather paradox. Imagine you go back and prevent your grandparents from meeting. Then your parent is never born. Then you are never born. But if you are never born, you cannot go back to stop them. So they times do times meet. So you times are times born. So you times do times go back. It is a logical nightmare. It is a loop that breaks causality. Stephen Hawking suggested that the universe simply won't allow it. He proposed the chronology protection conjecture. He believed that whenever a time machine is about to form, nature interferes. A bolt of energy destroys the wormhole. A quantum fluctuation destabilizes the tunnel. The universe acts like an immune system, attacking anything that tries to rewrite history. There is, however, a gentler solution, the many worlds theory. In this version, if you go back and change the past, you don't erase your own history. Instead, you create a branch. You step into a new timeline. In the original timeline, you disappeared and never came back. In the new timeline, things happen differently. Both realities exist side by side, never touching. You are safe, but you are exiled. You can never return to the exact future you left behind. It is a lonely thought, drifting through alternate histories. A ghost in a world that is almost but not quite your home. Perhaps it is better that we are stuck here, anchored in the present, forced to move forward at the steady pace of 1 second per second. It forces us to cherish what we have. We cannot edit the tape. We can only play it beautifully. Now, let's cast our minds forward again, past the era of humans, past the era of the Earth. Let's look at the ultimate destiny of time itself. If the universe keeps expanding, if entropy keeps increasing, what happens at the very end of the story? This is the era of deep time. Trillions of years from now, The stars will eventually run out of fuel. One by one, the lights in the sky will flicker and go out. The universe will become a graveyard of cold remnants, white dwarfs, neutron stars, black holes. It will be very dark and very quiet. Galaxies will drift apart until they can no longer see each other. The expansion of space will isolate every island of matter. Civilization, if it still exists, will have to huddle around the last dying embers of the last stars. And then, even the black holes will evaporate. As we discussed earlier, they leak radiation over eons. They will shrink and vanish, leaving nothing behind but a thin mist of particles. This state is called the heat death of the universe. Don't let the name scare you. It is not a fire. It is the opposite. It is the final equilibrium. The cup of coffee is perfectly mixed. The temperature is the same everywhere, just a fraction above absolute zero. No energy flows. No engines can run. No thoughts can form. Nothing changes anymore. And if nothing changes, time ceases to have meaning. Without events to mark the passage of hours or years, forever becomes the same as an instant. The arrow of time dissolves because there is no target left to hit. The universe enters a timeless, peaceful sleep. It is a somber ending. But remember, this is trillions of years away. We are at the very beginning of the party. The universe has just opened its eyes. We are living in the stelliferous era, the era of stars. It is the most vibrant, active, and beautiful chapter in the book of time. And we are here for it. You and I, we won the lottery of existence just by being born now, when the sky is full of light and the planets are warm. So, feel the comfort of your bed again. Feel the warmth of the blanket. This heat is precious. It is energy fighting against the cold void. Your body is a marvel of order fighting against entropy. Every breath you take is a victory. Every dream you have is a spark of defiance against the dark. We have traveled far tonight, from the flow of the river to the forging of iron in stars. From the Big Bang to the quiet end of eternity. And yet, you are still here, safe, resting. The mystery of time is not something to be solved. It is something to be experienced. It is the medium in which we float. As you drift closer to sleep, let go of the past. It is written in stone, unchangeable and safe. Let go of the future. It is a cloud of mist, forming and unforming. Sink into the now. This soft, silent center, where the breathing happens, where the peace lives. Imagine time slowing down for you. The river is widening. The current is becoming gentle. The ticking clock fades into a heartbeat. You are floating on a calm lake under the ancient stars. Timeless. Weightless. Free. In this freedom, there is a secret. When you stop counting the seconds, you realize that time is not a thief taking moments away from you. It is a giver. It is constantly offering you a new now, a fresh breath, a new sensation. The ancient Persian poet Rumi once wrote that the past and the future are like veils that hide the divine reality from our eyes. He suggested we burn them both with fire. What he meant was not to destroy our history, but to stop living in it. To stop haunting the ghost of yesterday and to stop fearing the ghost of tomorrow. When you burn the veils, you are left with the only thing that is truly real. The present. This very heartbeat, this darkness, this peace. The philosophers of old called this the eternal now. They believed that eternity is not a long time. Eternity is not an endless string of years stretching into the distance. Eternity is a dimension of depth. It is found by going deep into the present moment, sinking into it until time disappears completely. Think about a time when you were completely lost in joy, maybe watching a sunset, or listening to a piece of music that moved you to tears. In that moment, did you care what time it was? Did you worry about the next hour? No. The clock dissolved. You stepped out of Chronos, the time of schedules, and into Kairos, the time of meaning. Sleep is the ultimate form of Kairos. It is where we put down the burden of being a person in a timeline and just exist as life itself. There is a Latin phrase that was often whispered in the halls of Rome. Asterisk. Remember that you will die. It sounds grim to our modern ears, terrifying even, but to the ancients, it was not a curse. It was a recipe for happiness. It was a reminder of value. Imagine if diamonds were as common as pebbles on the beach. If you could scoop them up by the handful, they would be worthless. You wouldn't care if you lost one. They are precious only because they are rare. Time is the same. If the stars burned forever, their light would be ordinary. If a rose never wilted, its bloom would not move us. If our lives stretched on for eternity, each day would lose its flavor. The fact that time ends is what gives it weight. The fact that this moment will never happen again in the entire history of the universe. This specific configuration of atoms, this specific thought in your head, will never repeat makes it sacred. Scarcity creates beauty. So, do not fear the flow of the river. The flow is what makes the water fresh. Embrace the temporary nature of things. It is the source of their worth. Now, let's use these ideas to drift even deeper. We have analyzed time with our minds. Now let's feel it with our bodies. Let's go on a final journey tonight. Not to the stars, but inward, into the cathedral of time. Imagine you are walking through a vast, quiet forest at twilight. The trees are ancient, their roots deep in the earth, older than empires. The air is cool and smells of pine and rain. With every step you take on the soft moss, you are walking backward through history. You walk past the noise of the modern world, past the cities, past the roads. You find a stone path that leads to a clearing. In the center of the clearing stands a great temple made of polished obsidian. It has no doors. It is open to the night sky. This is the sanctuary of the present moment. You step inside. The floor is smooth and cool beneath your feet. In the center of the temple, there is a pool of water, perfectly still. Not a ripple disturbs it. It reflects the stars above with perfect clarity. You sit by the edge of this pool. The water represents your mind when it stops racing, when it stops chasing the future, when it stops regretting the past. It becomes a mirror, calm, deep, silent. As you sit there, you notice that the temple is filled with a soft, rhythmic sound. It is like the slow beating of a great drum, or the washing of waves on a distant shore. It is the heartbeat of the universe. Asterisk. Thump, thump. Asterisk. Asterisk. Thump, thump. Asterisk. Your own heart slows down to match it. Your breathing deepens to match it. You are syncing your small internal clock with the great cosmic clock. Feel your body getting heavier. Your legs are heavy stones resting on the earth. Your hands are heavy, resting in your lap. Your eyelids are heavy curtains drawn against the light. In this temple, there is nothing to do. There is nowhere to go. You have arrived. You are exactly where you are supposed to be in space and time. Look into the pool of water in your mind's eye. Imagine you drop a single pebble into it. The pebble is a thought you want to let go of. Maybe a worry about work. Maybe a conversation that went wrong. Watch it hit the water. Asterisk, plip, asterisk. Watch it sink. Down, down, down into the dark depths. It is gone. The ripples spread out slowly, getting wider and fainter until the surface is glass again. Drop another pebble. A fear about tomorrow. Asterisk, plip, asterisk. It sinks away. It is not your burden to carry tonight. Tonight is for resting. Tomorrow will take care of itself when it arrives. For now, the water is still. Above you, through the open roof of the temple, the constellations are slowly rotating. The great wheel of the galaxy is turning. It moves so slowly you cannot see it, but you can feel it. A majestic, slow dance. You realize that you are not separate from this dance. You are not a stranger looking at the universe. You are the universe experiencing a nap. Your atoms are vibrating with the same energy as those stars. Your breath is the same air that has circled this planet for aeons. You belong here. You are safe here. Time wraps around you like a warm cloak. It is not rushing you anymore. It is holding you, rocking you. Let's count down now. Not seconds, but steps deeper into this relaxation. Moving away from the surface of awareness down into the velvet deep of sleep. 5. Letting go of the concept of names. You are simply a presence, a consciousness floating in the dark. 4. Letting go of the concept of hours. There is no morning, there is no night. There is only this peaceful drift. 3. Letting go of the body. It is safe, warm, and numb. It will recharge on its own while you travel. 2. Letting go of thoughts. They are just distant birds flying across a grey sky. Let them fly. Don't follow them. 1. Silence. You are now floating at the center of the river. The current is slow and steady. It carries you toward the ocean of dreams, the ocean where time is not a straight line, but a shimmering mosaic, where you can fly, where you can be young again, where you can meet the impossible. Trust the river. It knows the way. It has carried every human who ever lived to this same shore of sleep. It will carry you too. Just lie back, close your eyes, and drift. The mystery of time is beautiful, but the peace of sleep is even better. Good night, traveler. See you in the morning.